Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another fantastic episode of The Left Wing. I am TJ Whitehead, powers taken, not given, joined as always by John Cooper of Counterpoint Politics. How you doing today, my friend?
Doing great, TJ. It's a little off-putting to see you in a button-down shirt. I don't know if you got a wedding to go to later, but
I'm always in a button-down shirt. You just don't notice it.
Yeah, I just don't notice it.
You just don't notice it. Yeah, it's just like I don't think I've worn a non-button-down shirt on this show in like 2 months. So it's just funny you haven't
really? No,
yeah.
that cannot be true.
Hand on a stack of Bibles. It's been a long time since I've worn like a T-shirt on the show. It's funny.
But wow, it shows how much. You know what? I don't see shirts. Some people don't see color. I don't see shirts.
Some people don't see color. I don't see shirts. John and I were just talking backstage about how it's been a rough day for John. It's been one of them days. Did you change the light? The light was green last time behind you.
It was green last time. I changed to blue. The green I had it for the Eagles on Tuesday, but like it just doesn't look good on the camera. And so I'm like, the blue looks the best. We're gonna keep figuring out the lighting here. We'll get it. We'll get it. But the important thing is, the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Thanks for mentioning.
Of course, we got to bring that up. Yeah,
and that's part of the stress of today. Is like on top of like work, because the Soros checks continue to not come in, so I do still have to do a day job, and so it's one of those days where work is just miserable. And then tomorrow's the parade in Philadelphia, so got to prepare for that. And I'm thankful that I'm off Monday and we have a long weekend ahead of us. Let's put it that way.
John, there's a new oligarch in town. You know this, right? Like George Soros is old news. Yeah, we have.
Do we have a new one? Is that why George Soros' checks are bouncing?
Well, not for us. It's that God Emperor Elon Musk has shut all that shit down. Soros has no power here.
It is incredible to see. I'm telling you, TJ, like Elon Musk, he's a glass cannon of a political figure, because he is both an incredibly strong asset for the Trump team and, the fascists in general, but he's also incredibly vulnerable. And we're going to be talking about this, I'm sure, go through multiple segments, but I just can't help but thinking how fucked this guy is unless he keeps Trump in power forever. Because, like, there's no way that anyone believes that everything that he's doing is all above the board legal. And like, it's not like the statute of limitations on some of this shit is 4 years. Like, he's exposing himself to so much risk right now. We might not get there. We might all die. He might, do a fascist coup of the government. Who knows? But I'm waiting for the chickens to come home to roost on this one, TJ, and it's going to be a very happy day in my life.
Yeah, that's like the one silver lining I have with everything that's going on here is that it's too late for Trump's reputation to be destroyed during his lifetime. But Elon Musk, plenty of time, and Elon Musk will do it for us. He can't help himself. My theory is like why because he didn't like latch on to Trump until late in the campaign. He wasn't really doing this until I feel like end of the summer last year, where he started going all in on MAGA and everything. And that's because he's in trouble with his investors and Tesla and with it's also Tesla, where they has like the Cybertruck and the robots and everything, and that ridiculous iRobot display he had, and it's like, okay, he's just frittering away these people's money, and he's doing the same thing to the U.S. government, folks. You guys ever wonder why Elon Musk is so dead set on his Mars mission thing? Well, there's two reasons. Like, one, I think he sees it kind of as his destiny. His dad named him after a character in a book named Elon, who was like an astronaut on Mars or something. So he's probably always had it on his mind since he was a kid. But also because Elon Musk is using this humanity must expand to the stars. Like, we have to colonize Mars as a way to just borrow a bunch of free money or be granted a bunch of free money from the government. Like, we are a century, at least a century away from any type of possible colonization of Mars. Like, we do not have the technology. Elon Musk is not going to figure out in the next 25, 30 years he has on Earth, but he can get a few $1 billion for his industries, and that's why he's so big on it. And this house of cards he's built will collapse pretty soon. And I don't know if it'll happen during Trump's presidency, fingers crossed, but it will happen.
And that's that. You use the exact right terminology there, house of cards, because this is not a political analysis. This is just a functional business analysis of the Elon business model, where he is incredibly overexposed on Tesla stock. Like, let's forget all of the Trump shit, right? Let's pretend that I like
Yeah.
Elon Musk as a person and a political figure. I would still be saying, hey guys, Elon bought a lot of Twitter. What was it $44 billion
Right.
of Twitter? And that stock is now worth something like $9 billion last I checked. All of that money that he used to buy that wasn't his money. It was money borrowed against his Tesla stock. If his Tesla stock plummets, it will create, like TJ said, a house of cards which will crater his net worth. And let's see where his political and that's why he's going all in on the politics thing. He needs protection for himself. And that's been his entire thing. He's not a guy, as much as everyone says he's a genius, he's really not. He hasn't invented anything. He has bought companies. And you can make an argument that he has led them successfully, and I'll have plenty of counter arguments for you, but that's not really the point here. The point here is he doesn't create actual things. He doesn't invent. He invests in companies and buys them and grows their stock value. That is his asset as an entrepreneur, is gaining more money for the companies that he owns. And eventually, when you continue to borrow money from everywhere without producing anything that has a ton of revenue, it's gonna crumble. Like we've seen it time and time again with a lot of different businessmen that have followed very similar business models, and it's all going to come crashing down eventually. Unless he's just the best at it ever, TJ. Maybe he will keep the Ponzi scheme going until he's well into his hundreds and he dies.
I will have to say, I gotta give Elon Musk credit for being such a good charlatan, because
he's the best. He's the best to ever do it, TJ. He's the greatest of all time.
I would have said last year, I would have said Donald Trump is the greatest. And I still think Donald Trump is a very close second, or 1A and 1B, if you want to call it that. But the reason I give Musk the edge is because Donald Trump has the benefits of charisma and humor and personality. Elon Musk doesn't have any of that, and he still does it. He goes up. You see him. In fact, I got a couple of videos of him in the Oval Office. I'm sure you saw those, John. And he's up there talking, and I always thought, man, if I were Elon Musk, I would never make a public speech. Never. Because he's so bad at it. It's not just the stuttering. It's just that he makes jokes that don't land and observations that don't make sense, and he's just fumbling over his words all the time. And he doesn't seem like someone who could inspire people to say, okay, wow, this guy's got a vision. I would follow this guy into hell with a can of gas. You don't get that when you listen to him. But somehow he has tricked people into giving him money, and hey, props for that. He has a skill.
It is a skill. That's something.
Somehow.
I also think that he's just kind of like magooing his way through this. Like, I think that he has gotten very, very lucky at many, many turns, and it has turned into a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy where people just give him the benefit of the doubt now, and they're like, "Here, take my money." And now, like, you see what he's like doing, like he's like responding to people on Twitter, like saying like that's illegal or whatever, when it's clearly not. And it's like, yeah, he's just threatening them, like that's what he's doing, and it's very upsetting to see. What did Mark say here? Yawn. Tesla stock went from 188 to 355. Yeah. So here's the thing, Mark. It's all Fugazi. Like if it goes, it doesn't matter how high it gets. It just matters if it gets low enough. Like that's all that matters. We've all seen what a bubble is, Mark. I know we know what it is. I know we know what it looks like. Tesla doesn't make cars that people want to buy. They're getting destroyed. Like if you look at their market cap versus the amount of cars they actually produce, I believe their market cap is larger than GM, Ford, Toyota all combined. But they don't produce nearly as many cars. So like, do the math. I don't know. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I mean, of course, Tesla stock went up. I mean, Elon Musk is the most powerful man in the world. And you're the president of the United States, why wouldn't it? I would expect it to go up, honestly. We're just talking about the entire operation in general, and that Elon Musk has tanked Twitter. He had tanked Tesla. I mean, look, before the election, Tesla was in incredibly bad shape. I mean, Elon Musk said so himself. He talked about how the Cybertruck has been burying Tesla. The Cybertruck is an absolute joke. Look, we're not shitting on Elon Musk because we don't like him. I mean, we don't like him, but we're shitting on him because like it's such an easy scheme to see through that we've seen billions of times, several times before. So I don't know.
I would sell my firstborn currently, who hasn't been born yet. I would sell him proactively to Jalen Hurts. I'd be like, hey, you want him? You take him. But if Jalen Hurts owned Tesla, I would also be saying, hey, these business practices don't have a lot of, sound fundamental basis in sustainability. That's just the case.
Elon Musk has made so many hilariously absurd predictions on his shit. It's like, hey, in like 2010, he said we will have a human being on Mars by 2020. He predicted we'd have 1 million what were they called? Robocabs on the street next year. A few years ago, he tried to pass off that those robots were autonomous robots. The fucking Hyperloop. Listen, the Hyperloop is like the monorail of the real world. Whereas, like, look, we're gonna have this, like, the concepts and the videos he had for this thing made it seem like
TJ, a monorail would be much better than what the Hyperloop is. You could put a tricycle.
The monorail would be better. The monorail would be better. Yes, the monorail. I mean, the Hyperloop was just a tool to circumvent any sort of public transit. So his genius plan was to dig a tunnel underground and have a single car operating one at a time. I don't know. Wait a minute. Right. You guys see what the entire world. No, Mark, we see what you're missing. Okay. Listen, no, it's like, if you can't see Elon Musk as a comment, I don't know what to tell you. I don't. Are you telling me there haven't been wildly successful comment, Mark? Are you really sitting here telling me that?
Exactly. Like we all know this happens. Like,
Mark, you are smarter than this. I am disappointed. I never, wow. I don't know what to say. Okay. All right. Elon Musk, let's get to him. So you guys know what he's been doing with this Department of Government Efficiency thing, which hilarious. I saw a clip of someone talking about, hey, Elon, is there any transparency going on here? Because, you are just there saying, I'm looking for all this fraud, waste, and abuse. But how do we know that what you're finding is legitimate or anything like that? And I loved Elon Musk's answer right here. Let's see what he's got to say. This is it's perfect, Elon. It's actually pretty Trumpian, but let's see what Elon says.
The White House says that you will identify and excuse yourself from any conflicts of interest that you may have. Does that mean that you are, in effect, policing yourself? What are the checks and balances that are in place to ensure that there is accountability and transparency?
Well, we actually are trying to be as transparent as possible. In fact, we post our actions to the Doge handle on X and to the Doge website. So all of our actions are maximally transparent. In fact, I don't think there's been, I don't know of a case where an organization has been more transparent than the Doge organization.
So if you guys didn't catch that, they asked Elon Musk, hey, is there any transparency to what you guys are doing over there at the Department of Government Efficiency? He says, oh, yeah, of course there is. We tell you what we're doing on our Twitter page. And there you go. That's the most transparent. It is the most transparent organization the government has ever seen. I'm sure Mark thinks it's great, though. I'm sure Mark is like, I don't know what the problem is. That sounds legit to me. That's definitely on the up and up. I don't got a problem there. What do you think, John?
It's one of those things where I have a lot more respect for people who are like, yeah, no, I want Elon to go in there and fuck shit up. I want him to do whatever he wants. I don't want there to be transparency. But the people who buy that, I'm just like, bro, if your kid, like if your teenage son was like going to a party and you're like, hey, let's be transparent. Is there going to be alcohol there? And he's like, you know what? I'll text you. I'll tweet at you if there is or not. Like, is that, are you just gonna trust that? Like, is that really where we're at here, TJ, where we're like, oh yeah, transparency means you tell us what we're doing and we just believe you? You're muted, TJ.
Yeah, it looks like 70 million Americans would say that. Oh, yeah, sure. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. It sounds good to me. What I want to point out, too, with this, I forgot to mention this, Elon Musk's hands. Do you see that he's making the Illuminati symbol right there, John? Do you see that? He's the Illuminati is confirmed. He does this multiple times throughout the entire interview. It's not a mistake. And I've noticed him doing it more and more. So I just want to point out that the evil cabal of lizard people is headed up by Elon Musk, and conservatives, now is the time to turn against him, because we're anti-Illuminati, right? He's clearly not an exception. He's part of the club we ain't in. So we got to take him down. We can't let him get in control of the Department of Treasury. I think that might be a mistake.
He is such a comically evil person. Like he dresses in a way that look at him. He looks like a Bond villain. That's what he thinks is cool. I thought the same thing about Tulsi Gabbard's like white streak rogue hair, where it's just like, bro, if I were to like cast someone and costume them to be an evil government agent, it would look like Tulsi Gabbard, like exactly like she looks right now. And it's again, I'm just, it's hard to maintain any shred of respect for anyone who doesn't just say at this point, yeah, I want them to be doing what they're doing. I really don't care about anything else. And I trust them, and it's okay that they're clearly trying to be evil. Like that's the only type of person I can have any respect for anymore. Because if you sit here and try to tell me, yeah, no, he this billionaire definitely has our best interests at heart, he must really hate corruption. I saw someone, I forget if it was a tweet or if it was like news article, and it was like he's a billionaire. I think Joe Rogan. No, it's Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan
he said, yeah, he doesn't need money. Why would he be corrupt? It's like, yeah, you know, the hyper rich people, famously not corrupt. All of those rich people who don't need any more money, they never want more of it. We've never seen it before in history.
Yeah, it was that when Elon Musk got access to everyone's social security numbers and social security payments and disability payments and Medicare, Medicaid and stuff, people were saying, okay, this is kind of a problem that we're letting Elon Musk have access to, $6 trillion of the taxpayers' money. And of course, Joe Rogan, genius as he is, said what John said, well, what does he need $6 trillion for? He's already got, hundreds of billions of dollars. And it's like, oh, why would the heroin addict want more heroin? Of course, like, why do you think he got that way? But John, I'm afraid I have a disagreement with you here. Okay. I hate to do this so early on. I love Tulsi Gabbard's hair. I have always loved that.
Oh, I love it. No, I love it. It looks great aesthetically.
It looks so goddamn cool.
It looks very villainous.
I didn't think of it that. I've always thought, because she's had like this for a long time. I remember watching, politics probably 10, 15 years ago, seeing Tulsi Gabbard, and she had it then. And I wondered, because sometimes people have that, where they have like a gray patch in their hair. Like, I don't know if you remember Rasheed Wallace. The basketball player. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had like a gray patch in his hair, and it was always there. So maybe somebody was born with that. But goddamn, did she make it look cool? Her face looks particularly evil in this picture, though. I when I pulled it, I was like, oh, that's an evil looking picture, Tulsi Gabbard. But I love the gray, like the gray streak. I think it's awesome.
I will say of like all the Trump moves, the one that I feel most worried about is Tulsi Gabbard as head of intelligence, because I think that Tulsi Gabbard is actually very smart and actually very corrupt. And like Trump's going to do corrupt shit that enriches himself and his buddies, which does generally suck, but overall probably isn't going to affect my life in an incredibly direct way. Tulsi Gabbard selling all of our state secrets to Russia, that definitely, and not just selling them, but using them to accomplish whatever she wants, which has always been unclear. That does scare me a lot.
Yeah. Tulsi Gabbard does seem to be, and Republicans love Tulsi Gabbard. They fucking love her.
They love being like, have you seen the one where it's like, oh, she stood up for Bernie and Bernie's against her now. How dare he? He's so disloyal. And I'm like, yeah, bro. Yeah. Sometimes people change sides. That happens. And when you change the side to the other side, you become my enemy. Like I don't know why they don't understand that.
Yeah. This is these aren't loyalty contests, folks. The Democrats kind of have a problem with that, where they kind of they're married to the seniority of the people they work with, or bonds. Like, no, listen, this is one thing I will say. This actually reminds me of something I don't think is a full segment, but I want to talk about is one thing we've learned, or I've definitely learned from the Republicans over the last 10 years or so, is that they are kind of right when they talk about Democrats, liberals, and leftists, and how they're kind of pussies in a lot of ways. They are. Republicans have no problem going in and cutting throats. Like they don't. They don't hold back. They insult you. We need a lot more of that. We do. We do. I'm sorry, because like with Trump is a good example of this. Talk to your average Republican. They'll be one of two minds. And I don't think there's a third. The first one is, I love Donald Trump. I would marry him if I could. Donald Trump is a gift from God. And then I'd say the other 50% is, look, Trump is who he is, but, I love that he fights for me. Mm-hmm. I got that. I understand that a lot. That it's kind of like we were talking about sports before. You ever see like a team that has like a dirty player, like a Dennis Rodman or a Karl Malone or a John Stockton,
Jalen Carter.
You're someone who gets who's like what Commissioner Gordon said in The Dark Knight Rises. Someone who will willing to stick his hands in the mud and get dirty so you can keep yours clean. Mm-hmm. People love that. People love that. And that's who Donald Trump is for a lot of folks, for tens of millions of people, where they say, hey, I know he has unorthodox strategies and actions and behaviors, but overall, he's fighting for what I believe. And I love that. And there's no better way to ingratiate yourself to a population than to show I'm willing to fight for what you believe, and which is not what you see from the Democrats, what you see from Hakeem Jeffries or Chuck Schumer. You see a bunch of soft, let's dance around and see what we can find and maybe file some paperwork and talk to the man. No, the Republicans get out there and they show you, I want to get this done and I'm willing to do anything it takes to get it. We need a lot more of that on the left side.
It's so true. It's not even just true there. It's true that because what you said about the Democrats being loyal, I disagree with it to a certain extent. I think that there's a lot of loyalty to party leadership in the Democratic Party. Mm-hmm. But I think that the problem is that loyalty isn't as important to people on the left side of the aisle, like ideologically. Like right-wing ideology, loyalty is number one. Because, you go all the way to the farthest extent of that ideology, you end up with what Trump is. And to Trump, loyalty to Trump is the number one most important thing. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's any conservatives who watch us who will disagree with that statement. Like, that is obviously the thing that Trump views as most important. And when you have a hierarchical worldview, loyalty becomes much more important because there is an authority who must be correct because of the system of hierarchy. On the left side of things was much more egalitarian. Loyalty matters less to us. Like TJ, we are close. We agree on a lot. We will be loyal to each other. But if you suddenly left the left, I would no longer feel any need to be loyal to you. Our loyalty is earned, not given. And so it is interesting, and I think that's one of the reasons the Democratic leadership, the politicians, just don't jive with the base of the party, is that we don't give a shit that it's whoever's turn. Whoever is the best positioned to be, you go back to the AOC thing where she should have been chair of the oversight committee instead of this fucking 70-year-old cancer patient. She's going to be better at doing the job, so she should get it. And the Democratic Party, the politicians in the Democratic Party, they're all about that loyalty. That's exactly what they said as their reason. They didn't say he would make a better chair. They said it's his turn.
Yep.
And it's like, bro, I don't care about that. I don't care about whose fucking turn it is. We're fighting the fascists. Act like it.
Oh God.
Oh, we have lost TJ sound entirely.
Oh no, my back.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
He's back.
Yeah. So I agree 100%. It's the Republicans this is why Republican leadership is honestly pretty tumultuous, like we saw last year with the House and everything. Why you see these fucking nobodies showing up as the mouthpieces of the party, like Matt Gaetz or Lauren Boebert or Marjorie Taylor Greene, brand new congressmen are probably all right, you've got the pulse of the people. We're going to hand you the megaphone and go for it. Democrats are fighting off Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and AOC when by all rights, they should hand this over. What I was looking for was this clip from the Majority Report. And I couldn't remember the guest's name, but I plan to do a video about the interview that Sam and Emma did with him. And what he said was he's noticed a fundamental difference between your average Democrat politician and your average Republican politician. And when it comes to Republican politicians, they seem to really believe in conservatism. They have these principles that, hey, I believe either A or B, either A, that my conservative principles are the best for the people of this country or God or whatever. And this actually means something to me. Or B, that championing these conservative principles is good for me, or one or the other. They absolutely believe one of those two. When it comes to Democrat politicians, it seems like they get into politics because it's a cool gig. This is a cool job. I get to work in Congress. I get to have this, I get to hobnob with celebrities and with famous and powerful people. I could make a name for myself. It's going to pay me decent. and I was like, that is such a good point. That is exactly what I see. Like for Republicans, it is like a rabid, like just inassailable urge they have to get this conservative stuff across the finish line, either to appease their constituents, to honor their lord, or to enrich themselves. For Democrats, it's like, well, where's the rule book? Let me look around. And the first obstacle I run into, I'll try again next year. And I thought that was a great way to put it, because if you really believe this stuff, if you believe either A, that these principles are good for the nation, or that Satan is actually out to destroy your country, there's nothing that you wouldn't consider doing to get this job done, which is why Republicans don't give a shit about rules. But Democrats, not all of them, of course, but a good chunk of them are like, yeah, this is kind of all right, and we'll get around to it when we do. Like, one sees it as a passion, the other sees it as a job.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's maybe a little bit of a recency bias take. I think that if you look at, the political spectrum of 20 years ago, that definitely isn't the case. I think that if you were to look at it 20 years ago, you'd almost make the opposite judgment of the Democrats are the ones who at least field more ideological people. And the Republicans are the ones who will just say and do anything to keep their fancy job. I think what honestly happened is that the Democrats kind of switched with like Clinton. Like, if you look like the Jimmy Carter Democrat, like Jimmy Carter was very ideological, and then Bill Clinton kind of moved the party closer to corporate interests. And they started winning doing that. They started winning more, at least, if it wasn't for 9/11, they probably 9/11 and the Supreme Court in 2000, like, you could have seen a Democratic leadership in this party easily for like 20 years. Bush only held on by a thread 2 times. So, like, yeah, I think that moved them farther right a little bit in a lot of ways, more towards that corporate bullshit. We're going to say one thing and mean a completely different other thing. And the Republicans lost to that for a while. And then they're like, oh, well, then we're just going to push all the way to the crazy. And we're going to lean into it. And they come across as more authentic now because a lot of them do at least feel like they believe the shit they're saying. Obviously, there are plenty of hypocritical lies all over the place. But even when they're lying, it feels like they're doing so because they believe in the thing they're lying for. Whereas Democrats, with the exception of the people we mentioned, like AOC, like Elon Omar, like Bernie, tell me what fucking Hakeem Jeffries believes in. Tell me one thing that Hakeem Jeffries believes in. Tell me one thing that Chuck Schumer believes in. I don't fucking know. I don't know what their ideology is. Not a single clue. And I fucking read and hear and watch a lot about them, TJ.
Well, John, I do want to go back to the beginning here. I have no choice. I have to do it. But you were saying that, so my analysis was recency bias. And you got to go back to Jimmy Carter for it to not be true. I'm saying, but you're right, John. I was talking about the politicians of 2025, not 19. So you got me on that one. Like, since Bill Clinton, definitely, I don't know what to say to that. I mean, like, well, TJ, if you look at Grover Cleveland and what he else,
okay. Let me rephrase then, TJ. I think for the majority of since Clinton, they've been mostly the same, and since Trump, we have seen the difference, and that's what I mean by the recency bias.
All right.
That was a very fair.
Okay, all right.
Fair call out. To what I said.
Oh, I don't know if you also Trees Tops said Jalen is a dirty player. It makes sense he plays for Philly. You want to respond to that, John?
Oh yeah, go Bird. No, again, he's on our team, so we like it. If he played for the Cowboys, I'd be like, fuck that guy. He killed someone on the streets and drove away. Fuck him. But he plays for the Eagles. Like, glad that guy's dead. Made him drop to us and win the Super Bowl.
All right. I had not planned on showing this clip, but since you brought up Hakeem Jeffries, I feel like I have to. So not only, look, Hakeem Jeffries is not just someone who we're disappointed in because, he's not ideological enough, that he doesn't have, a strong enough vision for the party. He's not a good spokesman for the party. If you're going to be in charge, you're the one that's rallying the troops and everything, you got to kind of have the ability to give a speech, like a decent ability. I saw him on Jon Stewart either this week or last week, whatever. And I want to it's not just how he talks. Look at his eyes. I just want to look. Just
feels right to me. The Democrats have to make this point. Where's the infrastructure to do that? And who are the leaders taking charge of that effort? Because when I listened to, I believe his name is Ken Martin, is that correct? The new DNC chair?
That's right.
He kept saying it's a messaging issue, as though, no, everything's going right. You just don't realize it yet. As opposed to, we've gotten away from New Deal values. Does that make sense to you?
Well, I think there's a few things going on here.
Yeah.
In terms of how we better communicate with the American people, Maya Angelou said it best. People won't remember what you say. They may not even.
It always looks like he's reading something. Like the entire interview, no matter what he's saying, his eyes are like this. They're glassy. They're pointed up. I guess his camera's up there, which once again, like, come on, you know what to do here. Like you're not new to this game. You know how to set up the angles and everything. But he always has this glassy look in his eye, and he's moving around. He seems like a zombie. I was like, this guy's got to go. This guy cannot be the face of this movement. If Hakeem Jeffries is the face of your movement's going to fail. It's not going anywhere.
It's incredible how they don't understand this. And to elaborate on John's point there, there's two minds about this. I don't think it's an actual policy issue. I think if you actually were to dissect the policies of the Biden presidency, they're fine. Like they're good, they're solid. And the problem that the Democrats don't get, it's not just the messaging. It's not finding a different way to message what's going on. They require an ideological shift. It's not just policy. It's not just messaging. It's people want someone to authentically go to bat for them. It really doesn't matter what the policy is, as long as you convince me that you believe in it. And that's the problem that they have. Glassy-eyed Hakeem Jeffries. He can have if Hakeem Jeffries had John Cooper's exact policies, I would like him. I'd be like, hey, guys, we should listen to that guy. But I still wouldn't say he should be leading us against Donald Trump because he's going to get his fucking ass kicked. Because that's just, it's not going to work. It's not going to connect with people. You have to be able to establish that connection. That authenticity needs to be the word that's just fucking played on repeat in these people's minds. And when you look into Hakeem Jeffries' eyes, you don't see authenticity. You wonder if he's human. You're right. He looks like a zombie. Chuck Schumer, we were talking about last week with his "we will win." Like, this is not the energy that we need right now. Energy that might work in 2002, but it's not going to work in 2025, no matter what the policy is or what the messaging is. Just the ideology, the energy, it just is not the correct appetite for the moment.
No, it's not. There's the party, we got to decide what we want here. I don't know. The policies are good. I agree. The policies are good enough.
Would I like them to be much better? Yes, TJ.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong, but it was a winning bag of policy. You can win with that hand of cards. You know what I mean?
All right. So what do you think about this? I was thinking about this the other day about the Democrats and with messaging and stuff, because it's true. Everything we've said before, that the messaging is bad. It's overly academic. It's it's easy to lose people, and a lot of liberals, leftists, you guys are insufferable. You're off-putting. You have it's not my job to educate you. Do better. Yeah, no one likes listening to you, whatever. But even if you corrected all of that and said, hey, this is speak like a normal person, be more accommodating, be more friendly, be more outgoing, you're still going to run into a lot of problems that are baked into the conservative voter. And we talk about this with union voters, people who work in unions and vote Republicans. There's a lot of them. There are a lot of them that it won't matter to them that Republicans are stridently anti-union and have been so forever. Conservatives have always talked about how unions are corrupt. Unions are bad for business. By the way, unions are not bad for business. Unions are bad for the bottom dollar of the business owner, which is very different than being bad for the business. Not the same thing. Unions are actually pretty good for business. Unions create workers that are lazy and workers that are selfish and greedy. That's what they tell them all the time. But, they will spite themselves to win some meaningless culture war victory. They will do it all the time. And they're the same folks who say that don't go to college, kids, go learn a trade and get a good union paying job and then vote for an anti-union candidate. those folks are kind of gone. I really don't think there's a way to loop those folks in. Or your hardline Republican voter who just loves the culture war shit. Reaching out to the non-voters is like, what do we always say? Mobilization over persuasion works every time. But what we've been doing hasn't been working. Like, it hasn't. So the policies, I don't think it is the policies. I think it is the messaging. I don't know. It's a little
TJ,
column A, a little column B.
The policies on the other side are such dog shit, especially now. Like, it's so easy to win on policy right now. It's these are the worst policies you've ever heard of in your entire. It's intentionally bad policy, and like, you can any idiot can win on that if that's what the fucking competition is. That's not what the competition is. If it was, we would have never had a fucking Republican president for the last 80 goddamn years.
I gotta pull up. Man, I feel like I'm bullying Mark this episode, but Mark, he's celebrating. Yeah, off-putting. Yes, Mark, I can say that. Okay, I can say the left is off-putting. I'm not comfortable with you saying it. I'm not, because listen, look, if you vote on the right at all, if you're red in any way, no,
your president is a rapist. Like that's off-putting. I don't care. I don't care like anything else. He has sexually assaulted someone. Prove it, like, in a court of law. Like, that's about as all. If you don't agree that that's as off-putting as you can be as a person, you're gonna have to justify that.
I wasn't even going with the criminal stuff. I'm just going with what they say. I go to any conservative video or any conservative, like the stuff that they say about migrants, the stuff they like whenever they see a black person. Oh, well, it's a DEI hire. This is a DEI halftime show. Or half of the libertarian channels that you watch are saying that women shouldn't vote anymore, that maybe you shouldn't pay taxes unless you own land. Perhaps we should, take away the democratic election of senator. Come on. I know I fully admit that the left is off-putting. The right is evil, right? In the way that they say this shit. Like, it's like, say this, how often ask your average Republican why crime rates are higher in black communities. Ask them and see what they say. I'll tell you what they'll say. They have a bad culture. Black people just, I know they speak the same language and live in the same country and worship the same God. But for some reason, they've just created a bad culture where they love God. I can't explain it. I don't know. And you drill them down on it's like, who knows? You talk about how Republican states have worse results in education, worse results for crime, worse results for drug use, for overdoses, for heart conditions. And the first thing they say is, well, that's where all the black people are. That's why. And it's like, okay, so what? It's still Republican states, right? This one's like, Republicans they're gleeful. Oh my God, did you see what Glenn Beck posted with Gaza the other day?
No, I didn't. I did not.
John. Okay, I gotta find the shit. This is so for those of you who don't know, somehow, Trump has talked about what his plan is for Gaza, which is to essentially turn it into a resort. And this is a post that Glenn Beck made about this topic. Here we go. It's actually too horrifying for words. I can only just show it to you. So I'll show you the full tweet first. That way you can get the context here. But Glenn Beck wrote, thanks to Trump, you can plan your honeymoon destination on the Gaza Strip. Some restrictions may apply. So here we go. This is the party of Jesus Christ here.
Imagine stepping into a world where romance meets breathtaking beauty. Now, thanks to President Trump,
the U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too.
You're invited to celebrate your marriage at the hottest honeymoon destination of the year, Gaza. Our new resort, Arabic Sandals, has everything you and your partner are looking for. Must be heterosexual couples only. Pristine sandy beaches. Just don't look behind you. All-inclusive packages available. Alcoholic beverages not permitted. Gloriously green golf courses. Landmines to be fully removed by 2027. And a kind of privacy only Gaza could supply. This is the time of your life.
Brought to you by The Blaze. So, yeah, that is That is like the best example of the banality of evil I have ever seen. I just like, it's hilarious to them. Oh, look, these people are being ethnically cleansed. And by the way, that's Donald Trump's position is open ethnic cleansing is his actual position. Yeah, get him out of there. We'll turn it into a golf course and to a beach resort. Glenn Beck finds it hilarious. Obscure political commentator Glenn Beck is like, oh, this and this great. This is fantastic. So that's what I'm talking about. Like, I don't want to hear it from conservatives about how mean the lefties are when Donald Trump is the most popular person I have ever seen in conservative politics, and he's the most cruel, venal, despicable man to ever live. Well, so that was your first time seeing that, John. What'd you think?
It was my first time. It's another thing. Just like the thing I kept thinking about is like, what is the joke here? Like, genuinely, I'm not even saying this in like a disgusted way. I'm saying this in like, I'm confused as to what the punchline is, because it's thanks to Donald Trump, you can vacation here. We're making fun of the conditions there.
Yep.
Like the host nation, but we're clearing them out. But like, there's no, I'm not even like saying this is a bad joke because you're punching down. There's no consistency to what this joke is. It's just the people in Gaza are bad. That's all I can get from that, TJ. And to talk about, because Mark, again, this is
Mark, come on, man. You're fucking with us today. You gotta be.
And I'm sorry about it, but our guest no-showed us today. So what are we gonna do? Mark. So Mark says, you guys are talking about outliers, racist Republicans, stupid Republicans. Trump's popularity among all races is an all-time high. That's what people are gleeful about. So here's the thing, TJ. This is the thing that like I'm always like, I don't understand what the other side's argument is here, because the people who are crazy and annoying and off-putting on the left, those are the outliers. They're the annoying fucking people you see online. It's not our elected leaders. Hakeem Jeffries is the most boring piece of shit. Chuck Schumer, Joe Biden, all these people are boring.
Yep.
Not egregiously mean or awful. The worst thing I can say about them is they're boring as fuck. On the other side of it, it's the elected leaders who say things like, I want to turn Gaza into a parking lot. You will hear crazy people on the left say like bad shit about Israel. You will 100% do it, but you will never, ever, ever, ever hear an elected leader on the left say, I want to turn Israel into a parking lot. You will never, ever hear that. But that is what elected congressmen say. Like, that's the case. It's again, I walk in both circles socially. I have conservative friends. I work in corporate America. I am exposed to like normie fucking Republican bullshit. And I will admit that like if I were to be around the annoying fucking conservatives I know in life or the annoying fucking leftists, sure, I can give it to you. Like I can see a lot of people being more annoyed by the leftists. 100 million %. But if we're talking about the fucking people with power,
the matter?
Hell fucking no. No fucking way. Like, it's just not even, it's not even a close, you cannot give me a single thing that a Democrat politician has said, which is as morally fucking repulsive as we are going to turn a city of 2 million people into a parking lot. There's just nothing that will ever come close to that.
Another great example of this is how often do you see Republican politicians stand in front of a microphone, in front of an audience, go on TV, and just shit talk cities full of millions of people? Yeah. Say California is a shithole, New York is an unlivable fucking hellhole, Chicago is a war zone. When do you see Democrats doing that for red states that are 1,000 times worse? When do you see that happen?
By every objective metric, 1,000 times worse.
One of them. I got the state of Mississippi is 100 times more dangerous than the city of New York. It is not close, okay? And I never see this. I've never one time seen a Democratic politician of any note in national office at all saying, look, these red states are awful. I can't believe people live there. We need to, do something about the shit. No, they talk about the conditions. I'll say, listen, we have poverty here. We have, kids not going to school here. But I've never said, there's no comparison to say like they will gleefully talk about badly run blue cities and these awful blue states. You don't see that from Democrats. Democrats do their to their detriment, I believe. Like they are always trying to extend the olive branch just to get spit on and have it slapped away. So once again, I don't want to hear it. I just don't want to hear it. There's no comparison. What we got here, John?
Yeah. So this is from Elon Musk, literally yesterday, saying, I tried talking to people at an LA party about Trump just before the election, and simply mentioning his name made them lose their minds and foam at the mouth. It was like they got shot with a dart containing meth and rabies.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong. Show me a Democratic leader with actual power who has said anything nearly as dehumanizing as you're fucking rabid dogs. Like, I hate fucking Democrats, bro. Like, I hate them. I hate them so much. I can't think of a single thing that one of them has ever said that is even remotely close to this level of dehumanizing hostility. This is the type of shit that you used to only read about in fucking history books about the Nazis. You never heard people like government. And Elon Musk is now a fucking government official with top secret security clearance. I've never heard anyone on the left say anything like this. And this happens again this is just an example from the past 24 hours.
It's all the fucking time. I know. It's just that there are like I guess Charlie Kirk's not an elected official, but he's always around the president. You see him in the White House. He has openly advocated for overturning the Civil Rights Act. I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know. We can't spend all the time on this. I'm sorry. We got to get carried away with everything right here, but we'll move on. But yeah, this is like I always say yes. Both parties are bad, but they are not equally bad. They aren't.
You've never heard Biden call Trump supporters trash. Yeah, trash, not rabid fucking dogs. And also, like I don't even understand
Mark,
how you're
come on.
these two things, Mark.
If every one insult you could find from Biden, you're telling me you couldn't find all right, just answer the question, Mark. Who is meaner to you, Trump or Biden, as in their language? This is how I know if you're fucking with me or not, because you can say like, oh, remember that time Biden referred to Trump supporters as quasi-fascist? Republicans lost their shit. You remember that? They talked about it for months. Donald Trump calls us pedophiles. Okay.
Yeah.
What is happening here? I just like stop pretending they're the same.
Exactly.
Thank you. Thank you. This is not just like it. Then what do you bring up? You know what?
We're heated today, DJ.
No, it's just that I'm tired of the equivocation. I'm tired of it, man. It's like, oh, well, Democrats are mean too. Yeah, I got it. I know they're mean too. They're not nearly as mean or as vicious, cruel, hateful, bigoted as your average Republican representative, your average one. Like, what's her name? Marjorie Taylor Greene went and spoke at a conference held by Nick Fuentes. Donald Trump had dinner with Nick Fuentes. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. It's like,
you'll never see like who's like a fucking crazy left-wing like tank. I can't even think of like
you can't who would the people they bring is like Hassan Piker or something. It's something like that,
and even Hassan, you still don't see fucking Joe Biden having dinner.
They don't do it.
They don't. Hassan, who isn't even fucking in the same stratosphere as Nick Fuentes in terms of like radicalism. Like it's a false comparison. You're entirely
burn some time here. I gotta find a video here. This actually reminds me one more thing.
and Mark's saying he gets tired of guys acting like all Republicans are stupid idiots, not funny, etc. I think all Republicans are stupid idiots. I have met funny Republicans. I've met smart Republicans. I've met stupid Republicans. The Republicans who are running our country right now, they are stupid idiots. Trump is funny, at least. But like, and we've said Trump is funny many, many times on this show. But like, yeah, like it's, again, if we want to talk about generalizations about all people, I can agree with you. That's not what I'm doing. I'm making fun of specific fucking Republicans who have specific power over my life right now. And like, yeah, again, also, I have all the smoke for Democrats too, Mark. If you're a regular viewer of the show, you will see all the smoke for the Democratic leaders as well. But I'm going to be pissed about them when I see them in the fucking news every day saying things like, we're going to remove every single Palestinian from Gaza using my tax dollars. Yeah, like that's going to piss me off. I'm tired of hearing that shit too.
I even though and also, but what we are saying that applies to Republican politicians versus Democrat politicians, it also applies to your Republican voters and Democrat voters. It does. Okay. It does. If I tell you that, well, my values are, tolerance and kindness and acceptance, who do you think I'm voting for? You know it's not a Republican, right? They never say that shit. Performative sociopathy is like part of the whole thing. It's like, yeah, fuck them. I don't care. So yeah, I don't know. All right. So this is a clip I wanted to play here. This is Joe Arpaio. Joe Arpaio is he was a sheriff somewhere in Arizona. I can't remember where, but I remember him making a big splash because he made guys work on chain gangs and wear, pink jumpsuits, whatever. This is him speaking at, surprise, surprise, a Nick Fuentes conference, America First Political Action Committee. And he's up there talking about how he has been maligned as a racist. And watch the crowd's reaction here.
Now, the speaker just before me, I don't know if he's still around, but he has some good points. I have the reputation of being the biggest racist in the country. Think of that. I hate to, what are you clapping for, that I am or I'm not?
Okay, so that room was full of conservatives, full of, mostly Republican voters, almost all of them. I guarantee Marjorie Taylor Greene spoke there. One conservative had to pull his invitation at the last minute for getting heat. And he said that I'm known as the biggest racist in the country. They cheered. They fucking loved it. It surprised him. It's like, well, actually, no, I'm not a racist. Look, whether he thinks he's a racist or not, I don't care. Everyone else thought he was, and they were happy to hear it. That's what I'm saying. So you cannot tell me that this is just some, tiny marginalized community out there where Elon Musk does the Nazi salute and it causes other conservatives to defend the Nazi salute. And by the way, if you don't think it was a Nazi salute, do a video showing what one looks like. I'm not trying to trap you into no. So if that's not it, show me what one actually looks like and tell me how it differs from what Elon Musk did. This is like the beating heart of the conservative movement. I'm tired of people pretending. Once again, what I always say, look up the platform for the Ku Klux Klan. Look it up. Look up the platform and tell me how it differs from the modern Republican Party. I'd love to have a point-by-point breakdown of where it's different.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Man, that was... All right, what we're going to talk about next segment, John? What we got here? Let's see. Yes. Oh, you had one. I remember.
Yes, I did have a couple. So there is one thing I wanted to talk about, and it's a story that isn't getting talked about all too much right now. But I have seen it picked up in, certain progressive circles, and it's a headline that, we just spent a lot of time shitting on the Republicans. We're about to shit on Democrats a little, because it's a headline that came from Axios. And I will share my screen here, but it's actually, I won't. It's not even worth it. But it's the scoop. Dems are pissed at liberal groups, move on, and indivisible. Why are they? First of all, they're not liberal. They're progressive groups. I don't know why Axios wrote it that way. But this is coming from actual Democrats, sitting members of Congress, speaking to the media anonymously, saying that they are pissed at the progressive groups, which are calling their offices, sending emails. I've seen some fax campaigns get started, asking Democratic politicians to do more, do something about what Trump is doing. The Democrats say that Hakeem Jeffries himself is very frustrated at the groups who are trying to stir up a more confrontational opposition to Trump. A Jeffries spokesperson disputed that characterization and noted that Axios that their office regularly engaged with dozens of stakeholders. However, some Democrats see the callers as barking up the wrong tree, given their limited power as the minority party in Congress. I have a constant been saying, please call the Republicans. People are angry, scared, and they want to see more from lawmakers right now than 4 speeches about Elon Musk, said Indefensible. These people are pissed that they're being called on to do more. And I have this very simple question. What the fuck did you expect was going to happen when you said that Donald Trump is a fascist and then you didn't act like he was a fascist? We need to see you doing more. I don't care if you don't think you have the power. Fucking make the power. I don't care what it is. I don't care. Figure out ways to do things. Lock yourself in front of the fucking doors. Make him go through you. I don't give a shit. Like we said the other day, if they're stopping you from doing something you have the legal right to do, just fucking do it and make them arrest you. Like this is the things that people want from these Democratic politicians, and they're pissed that we're demanding it of them. And I'm like, this is exactly what we've talked about so many times, where they say one thing and they don't actually fucking mean it. And you do that for enough years and people just stop listening. Yep. They stop believing in you. And they're sitting here pissed at us for expecting them to act on the words that they said that we agree with.
Yeah, that is that is one critique that I hear from Republicans that they're completely right about. They're 100% right. Like whenever you see a Republican say, "Oh wait, didn't Biden and Harris and Schumer and all of them say that Donald Trump is Hitler, that he's a fascist, that he's the end of a democracy?" They don't seem to be acting like it. Like, if you really thought that this guy was going to topple the nation as we know it, you wouldn't be giving this, warm handshake and a soft handoff to the presidency. You wouldn't be participating with everything that they're doing and, just sitting back and taking it and waiting for the next election. No, that makes it seem like you're lying, and they're right. They're right. And Democrats constituents think the same thing, that yes, I don't know, most people, I think, who would bother to call their congressman realize how our government works, that there's three branches, the Republicans have all three, and that the Democrats can't actually stop anything by legal procedures. Okay, we got it. Did that stop Republicans? This goes back to like, what are your principles? What do you believe? What gets you out of bed in the morning? Because I tell you what, when the Republicans were completely out of power under the Obama administration or during the first part of Biden's administration, they had the court, I guess. But, when they didn't have the White House or either the House of Representatives or the Senate, they said, okay, I can't really stop these proceedings, except in the Senate where they can, which is absurd. But I'm going to be a thorn in their side. I'm going to be making speeches. I'm going to be causing controversy. I'm going to be hurling insults. I'm going to be gumming up the works, just being a fucking annoyance. That's all you got to do, really, because that's all if we had the impression that that's what they wanted to do, that they actually wanted to try everything they could just to be, a fly in the ointment, that would be good enough. We're like, okay, we realize you can't do, anything, and then a little more would be great. But we don't even see that. We don't see a sense of urgency. And if you don't have it, why would you expect your people to have it? Like, why would you expect the movement to be successful when you're not showing that you're galvanized about this at all?
TJ, I have a magic wand, and I make you the majority or minority leader of either fucking the House or the Senate for the Democrats. What do you do to fight against this right now? You have the power. You are in the spotlight. You have the position of leadership. What are the things that you would be doing to tell the people, hey, we're fucking fighting against this shit?
Well, I'd actually tell them that. One, that'd be the first thing, which I don't see a whole lot of that going on. Two, you could organize like activities to break through what people are saying. You could stand in people's way. You could flood them with lawsuits, the Republicans do. You could grandstand. You could filibuster. I mean, there's 1,000 things you could do other than, hey, let's have a Zoom call or something.
What would you say about becoming more militant with the leadership? About becoming more physically aggressive, about going full scale, like I am treating Donald Trump like he is a fascist and I am a resistance movement to his fascism. Do you think that it's too early for that?
Well, it would depend on what the situation would be. Like, I think that if
I'm saying go on full fucking like Black Panther, and by Black Panther I don't mean the movie, I mean the fucking political organization. Like you are. You are walking around with armed guards. You are saying we are getting ready. We are preparing militias in case Donald Trump does this, in case he uses the U.S. military against the American people. Do you think this is a genuine question? Because I've been pondering this a lot of like, what is actually the correct tone to be striking right now? Because I know it's not what the fucking Democrats are doing, but I don't know exactly how far they should go at this point in time.
Well, look back to like the Republicans never had to go that far to stop anything, right? They never had to. They would. It was just like the annoyance stuff. It was just making yourself known. Now, listen, Would I recommend that people in Congress start walking around armed? No, I would not do that. Like I wouldn't. I think that would cause more harm than good. But whenever you have someone who is just getting carte blanche access to everyone's social security numbers and Medicare, yeah, you can push forward through that. Like, yeah, get arrested. Honestly,
live stream it too. Live stream. That's the other thing. We have these magical devices that you can live stream everything you're doing to the entire world so they can see it. And they just, with the exception of a few of them, they just don't use it for some reason.
Yeah. And honestly, you could get really far by just not acting the same as you would for every other Republican president.
Yeah.
If you're going to make the claim, if you're going to go out there and say that this is a unique and special danger, you have to act differently. Yeah, you may not need to battering ram the door of the White House, whatever, but I should see a markedly different behavior from you than I've seen in the past. And if it's the same, I'm not going to take you all that seriously.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
Yeah, I just had to say this. Mark said they say one thing and don't mean it, like tolerance. Mark, there's no way. There's no way. Well, first off, Mark, you've definitely heard me say this. I'm not that kind of liberal. Okay. Like, welcome to the intolerant left. Like this whole thing that, oh, wow, so much for the tolerant left. As if does tolerance mean, you know what? Mark has become the third guest, the third person of the show. I just realized this.
Mark, we should have just invited you.
We should have invited him on the show.
We also have a reader mailbag question from Mark, as he pointed out in the comments.
Oh, Mark, you're not getting the mailbag question too. I already picked one a while ago. You've already got my 5 in here. But it's like, when we say tolerance, which I don't even use that word, honestly, but do you think that means, oh, we tolerate literally every fucking thing and everybody and every concept on the planet? Because that's what it is. Like, oh, what happened to tolerance doesn't mean you accept anything. That person has never existed. There's no one on earth who tolerates literally everything. So it's a bullshit fucking thing that conservatives like to say. And I just backfire on it. No, there's tons of shit I don't tolerate. And I happily don't tolerate it.
There's a difference between saying one thing and meaning another, and saying one thing and other people thinking it means something else. like tolerance is one of those great examples where a lot of conservatives don't fucking understand what it means. A lot of liberals don't also, by the way. Like people just don't understand the tolerance paradox. And that confuses people. And so when we say things like tolerance, and we are talking about, you can't be tolerant to the intolerant if you're going to be tolerant, and they just take it as, oh, well, you mean you should be tolerant to everything. No, that's not what I fucking mean. But I'm also saying the thing that I mean. You're just not understanding it. Whereas what the Democrats are doing is saying Donald Trump is a fascist, and then they're acting like he's a normal politician. Those are two completely separate things.
I think you're being far too charitable, because in order for that to be true, conservatives would have needed to hear this from leftists or liberals, whatever. I am tolerant of everyone and everything. No one's ever said that. Nobody. And so what they've heard is, oh, I'm tolerant of the queer community. And they thought, oh, so I guess that means you tolerate everything, because no one's ever said I tolerate every ideology, every concept. That it is a straw man of straw men. Like, it doesn't make sense. They made it up and say, well, aren't you guys tolerant? No, we said we tolerated certain things, not everything. I don't know. It's so dumb. I can't believe Mark said it. I have a hard time, but Mark must be, maybe he knows this is one of my hobby horses. I could bitch about this online all the time, but because I swear that's what happened, because I like to get going on that. Nothing gets me more annoyed than so much for the tolerant left. That's why I love saying, welcome to the intolerant left. This is a lot we don't tolerate. All right, what were you going to say, John, real quick?
I was going to say, Mark said he's just trying to improve our show. So
we needed help today. It's true. We did.
That is true. So Mark did send us a reader mailbag question. And as much as we have been engaging with Mark quite a bit on this show today, because we are down a guest, I did want to engage with this question. So if anyone else has questions for us, they don't want to comment live on the show, send your questions to the leftwing pod@gmail.com. That is the that is the left wing pod at left wing, not the left wing. We have like 4 different email accounts for the left wing. It's a real problem, but the one we want you to send emails to is leftwingpod@gmail.com. And Mark said a lot of words to say this, which I will not read all of them. But his question generally is, what should happen to Hamas in our perfect world. If we had a magic wand, we could make things. We could change Gaza, Israel, this conflict in the way that we want it to be. Hamas is a militant terrorist group that is in Gaza. If we had our best way of things going, what would we do with the actual militant terrorists who have committed, very serious crimes? What happens? In our ideal world, what happens with these people who are a danger to themselves and others?
Mark, I'd like to know what you would do with the IDF. I'm curious what you would like to do with that, because my answer, it'll be the same. It'll be the same. All right. That's how I'll answer that question. And what I was like, my solution to the whole situation in Israel is a one-state secular democracy. That's my answer. That's my answer. So what this one-state secular democracy that grants equal rights to people regardless of ethnicity, crazy idea, I know. Like whatever they decide to come to, hey, here's how we're going to keep the peace. Here's how we're going to punish people who've committed war crimes. Here how we're going to punish that, doled out equally, by the way. Here's how we're going to punish kidnappers and rapists. Yeah, you put them under the rule of law like everybody else, but the first part needs to be done first, because until you have a one-state secular democracy, this is not going to be fixed. Either that or the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians, which I assume you're not for, Mark. I would like to hope that that's not your solution to this here, because and once again, I brought this up on a couple of shows ago. Like, if people are worried about, well, what happens when you give everyone the right to vote here and the right to control how this new nation is going to operate, aren't these people at odds with each other? How's that going to work? Folks, democracy is hard. Welcome to the real world. I'm sorry. And the question I like to ask on this is, would you have given the freed slaves the right to vote after the Civil War? Because it's the same fucking question. Wow, we got these two populations that got a lot of animosity toward each other. How's democracy going to work? And so yes, I believe that should be the solution. And whatever, decisions that government makes to take care of criminals in the past, let them take care of it.
Yeah, TJ, I love that you bring up the fucking slave thing, because it's like, yes, a lot of these people would 100% say no, you shouldn't have the right to vote.
100%, guarantee they would.
100%.
They would all be Republicans, I want to add. I just want to throw that out there.
No, actually, TJ,
some Democrats would too.
Yeah, I was going to say.
All the Republicans definitely would, is what I would say, yeah. So
if you believe in the principles of democracy, it doesn't matter what you do with Hamas. You treat them equally to every single person. You treat every Israeli equally. You treat every Palestinian equally. If they are a member of a militant organization and have killed people, you treat them equally under the law.
Yep.
It might be hard, but I will give Mark this credit here, TJ. He called your shot. So he said in his email, because again, there's a lot of words here that we did not have time to read, but he did say, of course, doubtless you guys are still pining away for a single state solution, the ultimate delusional thinking. And people say this all the time. They're like, oh, it's delusional to think that this could be possibly work. And what I always say to that is, we have been doing your solution for the entire existence for the last 80 fucking years. It has been this way, and it has not worked for one single hour of that time. So I'm delusional for saying, hey, we should try something radically different than the thing that has just been leading to more and more conflict, which has never ended. Like that doesn't seem like it's delusional thinking. That seems pretty fucking pragmatic. And yeah, there's going to be conflict. There's conflict currently. It's just that the way the conflict is currently happening is a little more orderly. It's a little less chaotic. The people who you're not as afraid of are the ones doing most of the killing. And that's why you support the current status quo. But the current status quo, thousands of people die every fucking year. There have been people living under occupation my entire lifetime. My entire fucking lifetime. Half of the population of Gaza has never seen a day where it wasn't being blockaded by Israel. So what are you going to do with fucking Hamas? That is a down the line question. The first question that needs to be answered is, what is causing people to join Hamas? And the answer to that is the brutal blockade they have lived under literally their entire lives. If you do not fix that, there's just going to be Hamas too. Every single fucking time. You see this everywhere there's terrorism. If you just try and kill the terrorists, new terrorists will pop up to take their place, because you inevitably end up killing innocent people who cause people to want to avenge them. It's not that fucking complicated.
Yeah, it's like yeah, and what are the other solutions? The other solutions are keep things the way they are, and or grant the Palestinians their own state, which Israel won't do. Like they absolutely not. They're not going to let that happen. Or what a lot of people tend to want is actually move the Palestinians out. Just kick them out. That's what they want. Yeah. All right. So
wait. And Mark says Hamas is a terrorist group, not slaves. No vote for them. First of all, terrorists deserve to vote too. If you believe voting is a fundamental human right, it doesn't matter what the fuck you did. Everyone should have that right. That's what democracy fucking is. Second of all, a lot of the slaves were terrorists. John Brown, who led a slave revolt, was literally the first person tried, convicted, and hung for treason. He was considered a terrorist by the state. That is the case.
Also, Mark is making like an obfuscation here. I didn't ask like about specifically Hamas voting. I asked about Palestinians. Like it's weird you cornered it down to, well, what about these guys? No, the millions of Palestinians. Would you get? That's the argument I was addressing. That people are afraid because, well, if you give them the right to vote, who knows what they're going to do? So yeah, what about child molesters? No, that's not the point. I was like, Palestinians get the right to vote. Okay, and we have fake Mark back. Mark Lauterbach, are you good, bro? Yeah, so I appreciate that. But fake Mark's here. All right, so I got a question. This is from Daniel's Dojo. Oh, we got a karate guy. Can you or anyone explain to me what the end goal for Trump Project 2025 is supposed to look like? Seems like all Trump voters are on. Fuck this up.
TJ, just start from the top. We're going to clip this. Everyone who's listening live right now, we appreciate you. Pretend that TJ didn't just mess that up. We're going to fix it.
There we go. First time reading this. Can you or anyone explain to me what the end goal for Trump or Project 2025 is supposed to look like? Seems all Trump voters voted on promises without a clear understanding of the end result. Okay, so I kind of answered this question earlier on, and I just realized is that a lot of Trump voters weren't voting on Project 2025. They weren't. Trump always ignored it or denied it and says, oh no, Project 25, I've never heard of this. I hear there's some bad things about it, but I don't support those. I'm not going to mention them. They didn't give a fuck about that. They talked about egg prices or gas prices. They didn't give a fuck about that either. Like Trump supporters, for the most part, voted because it burned the libs. Like it was spite-based politics. They said it all the time, not making this up. Go to any Trump rally video, see what they say. It's a bunch of fuck your feelings, cry more libs, still your president. It's all like American politics has gotten to the point where, unfortunately, like what John mentioned, like when it really started to fall apart was the 70s, when and a lot of reasons behind that, where people started losing their jobs in manufacturing and everything. Unions started growing weaker. The civil rights movement just happened. The women's rights movement, people were kind of lost in what they wanted to be. And a lot of politicians decided, hey, one way we could really galvanize votes is to wrangle people's insecurities and wrangle their suspicion towards other people. And it's kind of like that meme where the rich guy with all the cookies is like, hey, that guy wants your cookie, and make them angry at their fellow Americans. So Trump supporters, like they'll tell you, it's like, oh yeah, we don't really care about the egg prices, but we're really glad that the 10 trans women athletes in the 500,000 athletes of sports, of NCAA sports, can't play anymore. That's going to make them happier than anything else. They're not going to care about the unitary executive theory of power. They're not going to care what Elon Musk does. Elon Musk is a rich guy, so he must know what he's doing. I don't think it's going to matter at all. What do you think, John?
I agree with you. It also doesn't even matter if the trans people are actually kicked out of their sports.
No, you're right. It doesn't. You're right. You're right. It doesn't.
Because it doesn't affect their life. Mm-hmm. Like they aren't playing in these sports. They don't give a shit. Maybe like 3 of them have ever played a sport against a trans person. Like it's not a real thing that actually happens in large enough numbers for this many people to care about. And so and again, I'm someone who says there should be some guardrails on specifically trans women in sports. And there are. They do already
exactly.
Exist.
That's the thing.
Again,
there already are.
It doesn't matter to them if it actually, as long as they think it does, as long as the libs are angry about it. You're right. However, I will say there is end goals to I feel like the spirit of the question, what does the average Trump voter think about it? They don't fucking know.
No,
I don't think Trump knows what the end goals of Project 20. Because there's one thing I will believe Trump when he said, I didn't read Project.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I believe it 1,000%
Yeah,
He didn't
true.
read a goddamn word of it. He listened to the people who wrote it.
Yep.
He actively has given them administrative positions in his government, but he doesn't actually know what the end goals here are, because to him they're unimportant. All
Yes.
that Trump cares about is Donald Trump. Does this help my legacy or not? And the people who have learned they can manipulate him into doing what they want, they're the people we actually have to look out for. The people like Elon Musk, the people like the guy whose name I'm completely forgetting, who was just the fucking architect. What is his name?
Architect.
What? There's too many bad guys that I have to learn the name of.
Russell Vought.
Russell Vought. That's it. Yeah. And what is he? He's not chief of staff, is he?
I forgot what he was nominated for. Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna learn all these things. They're gonna be here. But yeah, that is what these people want. And I want to be very clear. Look at the tariffs thing.
Yeah.
The tariffs thing.
Tariffs is good.
It's not just dumb. From the Project 2025 architect standpoint, there's a reason for it. They want to shift the U.S. taxation system away from income and towards consumption. Why do they want to do this? It is because the average rich person has much more income than they consume. They save all this money. They hoard it. They reinvest it. They do all these things. And so, but the average poor person spends most of their income. It's why redistributive economics is very beneficial for an economy, because when you give $100 to a poor person, they're going to spend $100 of that. Did
he spit on me? Yeah.
Oh, he did spit on you. But if you give $100 to a billionaire, there's going to put in the bank, and it's never going to recirculate back into the economy. And so, the reason you're seeing this tariff thing, it appeals to Trump because it feels like a strongman thing. That's all Trump cares about. But what Vought cares about is changing the way that we tax to be towards consumption instead of income, because it's going to allow the already rich to accumulate more money and power. And that is what all of these things aim to do. That is the end goal of Project 2025, is to funnel as much money towards the people in power as it possibly can and entrench their power for generations to come. That is the end goal. And one can argue that that is the end goal of a lot of political movements, and okay, fair, but it's the specific people that it wants to, because on top of that, it also wants to make sure that we culturally live in a white fucking Christian nation.
Yeah.
Patriarchal nation. Again, this is all in the fucking
right. Yeah. We're not making this shit up.
I'm not speculating here. This is what they say. They want what was the word, TJ, that they used?
Christian nationism, not Christian nationalism.
Exactly. And it's like, yeah, do you want the end goal? That's the end goal. If you care about freedom of religion, you should fucking hate this shit. If you want Christian nationalism, cool. Those are your people.
Yeah. A lot of people are pretty open about the fact that they do. Yeah. All right. So we have another tier list. We're going to give it another shot, but we had a few more minutes, and because I don't know if it'll last half an hour, but I had a random story, John, that I ran across. Right. You're talking about news popping up. I don't know if you saw this. It has nothing to do with politics, but I wanted to share this with you and the good folks out there that the world might be ending.
Oh,
so
please, any now.
All right. So NASA says yes, an asteroid buzzing by in 2032 could hit Earth. And all right, an asteroid that measures up to 300 feet across could smack into Earth in 2032. And while NASA says the chances of a collision are extremely low, the probability has been increasing since the space rock was discovered weeks ago. NASA said last week that there is currently a 2.3% chance that the asteroid, dubbed 2024 YR4, about a 1 in 43 chance, will hit Earth on December 22nd, 2032. While still tiny, the probability nearly doubled from the agency's initial estimate of 1.2% in late January. I got to tell you, 1 in 43 are not comfortable odds for me that an asteroid could hit the planet, right? Like that's like statistically it's low for a lot of things, but if you had a 1 in 43 chance of getting into a car accident driving somewhere, I don't think you would do it. You're like, no, those odds are way too high, right? Maybe that's just me.
It's not just you. No, I would not get in that car. I'd stay home that day.
Yeah.
Like there's very few things that would get me to get in a car knowing there was a 1 in 42 chance of it crashing. So yeah, you're right. That doesn't make me feel very good. But like an asteroid hitting the Earth, like this whole this happens a lot. And like, oh yeah, it
Well-
could happen. But 1 in 43 is not nothing. Like,
comforting.
that's something. But like, also, this is like, am I wrong about this? It's supposed to be a relatively small one.
Yeah, so we'll get to that. So I'll get to that. All right. So relatively well. We'll get to it. I guess what you're relative comparing it to. At the time, NASA said no other known large asteroids have an impact probability above 1%. The agency is monitoring the asteroid's orbit and said that the object's impact hazard could be ruled out eventually. But in a blog post about the space rock, the agency said it's also possible its impact probability will continue to rise as more details become clear. NASA estimates that the asteroid measures between 130 feet and 300 feet across. In the unlikely event that it did hit Earth, the asteroid would likely impact a high velocity at roughly 38,000 miles an hour. A space rock of that size would likely cause local damage, but not threaten the entire planet or humanity. I like the estimates there. It's like, yeah, there'll be some damage. It won't destroy the planet, though. Okay, that is a wide range. All right, that is not really making me comfortable there. It's like, sure, it'll hit. It won't destroy the planet, though. Okay, I'm gonna need a little more clarification.
Can you imagine like a doctor being
yes.
Like, so doc, what's wrong with me? It's like, well, you're not gonna die.
Right? Yeah. You'll live
like,
at least another month.
That doesn't make me feel better.
Right? Tree Stop, I thought the same thing. We're going out like Planet Vegeta. I thought the same thing too when I saw this. So, all right, what do we got here? All right, the asteroid was first detected by the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System Station. Wow, man, imagine working there. Imagine working at the Terrestrial Impact Last Alert Station. That would be a hell of a job right there. All right, since then, researchers have been studying the space rock using ground-based telescope. NASA said the asteroid will continue to be visible to ground-based observatories through April. After that, the rock will be too faint to see until June 2028. So it's going to hide from us for 3 more years and a few months, and then we'll study it later. The James Webb Space Telescope will train its eyes on the asteroid in March to better assess its size, according to NASA. So in other estimates that I read, it said that this asteroid would basically, it could destroy a city. Like it would wipe out the city if it hit it. That's pretty concerning. That's pretty concerning right there. Like the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs, I think was something like 6 miles across. So yeah, that one, nuclear winter destroyed the planet. But this is, once again, their estimation. It's asteroid that's way out there, but could cause a lot of damage. Like local damage, destroying a city, that's pretty bad. Like if it hits the water, I don't know how bad the tsunamis are going to be. But yeah, folks, like the world might end in 7 years. So get your affairs in order.
One of my longest reigning hot takes is that the way I want to die, hit by asteroid. That is the way I would like to die. I don't want to know what's coming. I just one day, boom, asteroid. That's the coolest way to die. You got crushed by an asteroid. Literally, space came to kill you. That's the way I want to go, TJ.
That's not a bad way. That's not like
instant death. You're just crushed over.
Yeah, I'm trying to think how that. Did you watch Don't Look Up, the movie about the asteroid coming down and everything? I watched another movie called Seeking a Friend for the End of the World, and it was about an unstoppable asteroid. You saw it too, unstoppable asteroid coming in, and it's like, man, how would you spend that time? Because I think that knowing me and a lot of people, I think that even if people told you, look, it's done. It's over. There's no stopping this thing. There's not going underground won't save you. There'll be no vegetation. You're all going to die. You might as well get over quickly. I still think I'd try to hide. I would try to go in a cave somewhere. And instead of getting the sweet vaporization death and getting a hell of a show while it happened, I would hide in a cave and end up starving to death or dying of radiation painfully. So I don't know. I'd like to think that I could just let go of the hope and say maybe I can just take the quick way out. But I think I'd try to hold on, which is not nearly as cool or poetic.
I think I would cook myself up a wonderful drug cocktail that just will make me have a very, very, very happy final moments that I am not thinking about the asteroid. And then I just go out. I would not survive the anxiety of that asteroid coming down.
Yeah,
like I would probably kill myself long before the asteroid hit just to get it over with.
You know what I love about those apocalyptic films about like asteroids and stuff, or the world ends? There's always still like TV stations running news channels. Like, really? Come on, who's going into work to report on the news when there's an asteroid falling from the sky? That's the last thing. Who's running these water treatment facilities. Like, who's going to work at this time? I don't know. It's just kind of wild. TD says, just thought of this, but how do flat earthers explain asteroids? I talked to a guy I knew once who told me he suspected asteroids may not be real. He told me that he thought that the government was like sending large like balls of metal and acting like they were asteroids, something like that. So I had actually never run across that until last year. I never really thought about them and asteroids, but have you ever seen that, John?
Nope. And I don't really care how they explain it. I would just assume that, they just fall down. Like there's a down, there's an up.
I think it's like why are they round? Honestly, like what had caused them to be round? I don't know how they explain planets either, but yeah, it's kind of fucked up. But I remember him mentioning something that he said that it's weird to him that asteroids cause these big craters. And the example he gave was, like if I took a firearm and I shot a bullet, it's going to kind of skip. And these asteroids don't seem to skip. And I said, all right, well, first off, asteroids are moving at like 50,000 miles an hour. Bullets move maybe 1,000 miles an hour. Like, you really can't compare the two. And that asteroids do kind of skip and scatter and shatter all over the place. I don't know. Like, these guys have no grasp of 8th grade science. But all right, let's move on to the crown jewel of the show that we're hoping on here, hoping this takes off. But we got another tier list. Are we ready for this?
Guys, the last tier list didn't do well on YouTube. So if you like this, you should go check that one out and tell the algorithm to make more of these things.
We're very disappointed that you guys did not watch our tier list. Hopefully we can, get some better results here. But all right, so for this
By
tier
the way,
list,
guys, TJ, he didn't want to sign up for tier list maker, so he created a tier list on Canva.
Oh yeah, it's on Canva.
If you're confused as to why this doesn't look like other tier lists you may have seen, that is why. He spent way more time doing this than I would have expected him to.
The sad thing is I can get it like large and everything, but then I can't move them. So like I have to keep it small and look unprofessional. You know what? We'll figure out a way to do this. But anyway, all right. So here are the tier lists we have for. So when I texted John about this, John, I sent you a text saying that this would be about Trump's cabinet picks, but I changed it to Trump's loyalists because I want to put Elon Musk on there. Honestly, is the main reason, and one of the categories wasn't a cabinet member. So, all right. So can you read this? Is this big enough, John?
Yeah, no, we're good. We're good. Yeah.
All right, cool. All right. So the first tier is going to be the Scaramucci tier: fired, hilarious failure, and a disgrace. And the second tier is the Ben Carson tier: eternal loyalist, gold medal simp. Then we have the General John Kelly tier. Will they be forced out, get bitter, and start talking shit? The Mike Pence tier, loyal until Trump literally tries to murder them. And then the Ashley Babbitt tier, dies like a dog. Okay, that's what we have for our category. So, John, in the spirit of Donald Trump, I'm going to keep
dies
this.
Like a dog. That's pretty mean, TJ. We just did this whole thing. Oh, how dare Elon comparing them to dogs?
No, that's a Donald Trump thing. He always says that. He always says dies like a dog. Yeah. He always says that. That's why I put it on there. All right. So, okay. Oh, that's right. That's another reason I put Trump loyalist, because Ashley Babbitt wasn't a cabinet member, obviously. And so, yeah, we get what's going on. All right. So the first person we have is Elon Musk. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I forgot to finish my statement here. So, John, in the spirit of Donald Trump, I would like this. Well, it actually has to be undemocratic. There's only two of us. So we're going to bounce back and forth, and each of us will get the say on where this one goes. So you can go first. We'll start with Elon Musk, and I guess you'll end first. So Elon Musk, I think Elon Musk, it's a gamble, but I don't think he's long for the Trump administration. I think that he's going to overplay his hand. He's like, do you see that he had a meeting with Modi today? He's sitting down, shaking hands with a foreign leader in front of the American flag and the Turkish flag. His son accidentally slipped some shit talking to Donald Trump that
so funny.
He definitely heard from his old man saying that actually I'm the president and everything. So I would vote to put Elon Musk in the Scaramucci tier. But what do you think, John?
No, see, here's the thing. If we were to have done this tier list the day before Trump took office, I would have 1,000% put Elon in the Scaramucci tier. I feel like we're already past it. I forget exactly how long Scaramucci
Well,
is.
yeah, Scaramucci's 9 days. I don't mean
9
like
days, yeah.
that quickly,
But,
but
like,
just fired. Yeah.
I did not suspect this marriage to last very long. I think they're gonna stick with this, and he's gonna either end up in the forced out, gets bitter, talk shit, or loyal until Trump tries to murder him. And this is the question I've actually been bouncing between, because both of them clearly think they're the alpha in the relationship.
Mhm.
At some point, push is going to come to shove, and one of them is going to find out who the alpha is. And I bet you it's the one with the full backing of the United States military, which is why he could go into forced out, starts talking shit. But, like, I feel like the stakes are already too high. He either is loyal until Trump tries to murder him, or he dies like a dog. I think he has the power to stop himself from dying like a dog. I would put him in the Pence loyal until Trump tries to murder him tier, because that just seems like the only way out. Like, they're going to try and kill each other, in the secession way, where they say, like, kill when they mean, like, disempower. But, like, I don't know. I think Elon Musk, as I said in the beginning of the show, he's hit his peak, and it's going to flame out in amazing fashion. I don't know what it's going to be, but he can only stay loyal to Donald Trump. It's his only path forward. But, like, eventually he's going to become a liability for Trump, and that's when we're going to start to see the fireworks. What do you think, TJ?
Yeah, it can't last forever. It just can't. They're two guys who want to be in charge, and Musk is definitely loving the fact that he is the de facto president of the United States. He loves it. He's not going to be able to keep that to himself. He's going to talk about it at home, like he's definitely done in front of his son, and people are going to get word of it. And Trump's not going to now, because Trump doesn't really need Musk anymore. Right? I mean, I don't see why he would. Like, he can't take the presidency.
That's why I say that. I thought he was going to be a Scaramucci. I thought, and again, people, my haters out there, I was wrong. I said on this show that Doge was putting him at the fucking kids' table, giving him an unplugged-in controller, and saying, "Hey, you can play Call of Duty with me too." That is not the case. He has something with Trump. There's something there. I don't know what it is. It's more powerful than any other relationship to Trump. No one else can do what Elon has done. So he's got something.
Did you see when someone asked Donald Trump if he considered JD Vance to be a successor? And he said no. Did you see that? That was so great. That was so great.
So funny. So funny.
I love it. I love how he goes. I don't think he likes JD Vance. He goes out his way to shit on him more often than I thought. When JD Vance seemed like he was dragging Trump's numbers down, he said, listen, the vice president pick doesn't matter. Historically, it doesn't. I was like, Jesus, this guy's really going to town on Vance. So I like that Vance has kind of disappeared. And I almost preemptively put Vivek Ramaswamy in the fired and hilarious disgrace, because he didn't make it. Like, he was gone immediately, I think before Trump even took office, or like the week he did. So, yeah.
I feel like he would be forced out, gets bitter, talk shit. Like I think Vivek, I think he has seen that he's not going to, like, rise to power under Trump, and he might be setting himself up to be a turncoat when it's convenient for him. That's where I see Vivek's trajectory going here, but we will see.
All right. So, you get first crack this time. We have newly sworn in Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. Well, what do you think of our Fox News host, Secretary of Defense? Did you see that he brought back Fort Bragg as the name of Fort Bragg, North Carolina? Did you see that? He wrote an order about that. Did you hear his rationale? That was actually really funny.
I have not heard the rationale now.
Okay, it's I have to admit, it's kind of funny, because, so for those of you who don't know, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, which is where I was born, and I served there until 2014, I think, when I went to Indiana. But Fort Bragg is named after a Confederate general named Braxton Bragg. And you didn't know that, because that's the only thing anybody knows about Braxton Bragg. He was a fucking loser general. There was nothing significant or of note to him other than the fact that he led an army for the sole purposes of creating a traitorous state that existed to keep Black people in slavery in perpetuity as a part of their constitution. Like, the Confederate Constitution says that Black people can never be set free. So the United States military said, okay, let's not name our bases after these Confederate generals like Polk and Bragg and Benning. So the rest of the bases got names. They named it after somebody else, like Fort, Ben Savita or something like that. But for Fort Bragg, they changed it to Fort Liberty. Like after the concept of liberty, like not after a person, which sounds shitty and lame. I hated that.
Also
But
weird for a military base. Like,
well, no, I mean, come on. This is the military that liberates all the people around the world, you know? And so they changed it to Fort Liberty, shitty name. Like I hate saying it, sounds awful. But now it's Fort Bragg again. But it's not named after Braxton Bragg. It's named after some private in World War II who won an award for like driving an ambulance through German fire or something like that. And yeah, so they named it Fort Bragg again, but it's not named after the Confederate general. And I said, you know what? Points for being clever. I got to tell you.
that's exactly what I thought.
I have to admit.
Game, respect, game.
Yeah, right.
That's good. That's pretty. It didn't matter anyway.
No.
And so the fact that you like actually, because they don't do that work usually. They don't usually try to come up with a reasonable explanation. So the fact that they did and it works, I'm all right with it.
You know what? So funny because like I want to be mad, but
it's a good Fort Bragg.
Fort Bragg's
a good name. I hate to admit it. It sounds tough.
Man. Ever since they changed it to I've been so annoyed when they changed it to Fort Liberty. Fort Liberty sounds like fucking garbage. That is a terrible name. It's awful. Fort Bragg sounds baller as hell. I love the way Fort Bragg sounds. I know it's named after Braxton Bragg. And look, in fact, I still called it Fort Bragg on occasion because it's just like, you know, it's what we all called it. And now it's Fort Bragg again. It's too bad that it shares in Confederate, but fine. If we want to be technical about it, it's named after stuff. We know why you did it, but whatever, fine. But you're right. Game recognized game. I had to give him points on that. So where do we think he's going to last in the Trump administration? What do you think, John?
I would say, so I would maybe put him in the eternal loyalist camp because I think that is, what he would do. I don't think that he's skilled enough to not get forced out. Like, I think at some point this alcoholic serial sexual assaulter is going to do something that gets him forced out. And when that happens, he's going to start talking shit.
All right. I think that's a good guess. I think it, but I'm going to differ slightly. And it's mainly because of your last point. For those of you who don't know what John mentioned, Pete Hegseth is a chronic alcoholic. Like Pete Hegseth has had a lot of problems with this. It's been coming on Fox News amongst his friends, amongst his relatives. They talk about his alcohol abuse and everything. And he's he's like my age. I think he's like in his early 40s or mid 40s or something like that. And, he's graying pretty bad already. He's always working out. He's in great shape, but I don't think his heart's going to be able to keep up with this. So I am going with our first dies like a dog.
I'm having a feeling that this is just going to be a bit where TJ's going to kill every single person.
John, come on. You know me better than this, John. I'm not some fucking hack that's going to make a joke category just so I can throw everyone in there. John, come on. Pete Hegseth. That's my legitimate thought here. Pete Hegseth dies like a dog. All right. John. All right, so, I know I like saying it like Trump says it. Okay. Pam Bondi. So Pam Bondi was nominated for Attorney General after, what's his name? Matt Gaetz dropped out of the race. And what I do got to say that I respect about Pam Bondi is she did something that I've always thought I would do if I was nominated to one of these cabinet positions where you could be nominated by the president, but you don't get the job unless you're confirmed by the Senate. And you got to sit there all afternoon or two while they grill you with these questions. And they got people from the opposition party, combing through everything you ever said or coming up with these scenarios so they can do gotcha clips and for their commercials and for their advertising and everything like that. And I said, you don't got to answer those questions. You don't. You just got to sit there. Yeah, no one can force you to say anything. And about halfway through her interview, she said, I don't actually have to answer these things. I don't. And I was like, I'm shocked more people don't do that. So respect to her for that, but terrible person, everything like that. But if I were to guess with Pam Bondi, I don't know a ton about her, but from what I've seen, I would guess that she would be in the Ben Carson category, like a loyalist sent to the end. I don't see it.
She will stay an eternal loyalist as Donald Trump calls her Ivanka to her face. Like that is. In fact, I would bet so much money that has already happened.
Yes, she does. I can see that. Yeah, don't expect a whole lot out of Pam Bondi, but I do expect her to be loyal to Trump. Okay. All right, so you're first up on this one, John. Doug Burgum. For those of you who don't know who Doug Burgum is, because I didn't know who he was until this last election cycle. He was the governor of North Dakota and some billionaire apparently. And Doug Burgum, he kind of looks like in fact, let me pull up a bigger picture of him here. Doug Burgum looks like a more evil Gavin Newsom.
Thank you. I was going to say the same thing, TJ. I was going to say it's just you tweak evil up a little bit on because Gavin Newsom looks evil, but you just tweak up the evil and you got Burgum. Yeah, that's exactly correct.
Yeah. I think he looks like a more evil Gavin Newsom. I don't know a whole lot, but it's weird. I couldn't believe that. Oh shit, what was he now? Department of Secretary of the Interior is what Doug Burgum is. And he also did as far as I know, his first official act as Secretary of the Interior by renaming Mount McKinley and the Gulf of Mexico. And yeah, so where do we go with Doug Burgum here, John? What do you think?
I don't know where to put it. I think fired hilariously, fairly, or disgrace. Like, I feel like that's where he's headed because like he doesn't have the juice. He doesn't give me loyalist vibes. Like there's going to be something very funny that comes out about him, and it's going to be politically convenient to drop him, and he's going to get fired as a failure and a disgrace. That's got to be where he ends. He's too rich to die like a dog. So and I don't think he really like carries enough cachet to like anyone to give a shit if he gets bitter and talk shit. So yeah, I would say that and he's just not important enough to threaten to murder. So yeah, I think fired hilarious is a disgrace. That's where he ends up.
Well, all right. So Doug Burgum was an interesting cat. Like I didn't know a whole lot about him, but I want to show a picture of him to all you guys and to John too to my point here. But this is Doug Burgum. I want you, I hate putting people on the spot like this, John, but I want you to guess how old Doug Burgum is.
60.
Wow, really? Huh? No, he's 68. He's 60. That's weird. I think he looks older than 68. I think he looks a lot older. Like he looks really bad to me.
It's hard for me to tell. Like,
yeah, you know what's a good point.
Like if you said anything, I wouldn't say he's just a little, not enough wrinkles to quite be like 70. Like in the forehead, it's a little, maybe he's got some good Botox. I don't know. But yeah, I would have guessed 60s. You know.
Huh. So yeah, the pictures I ever see of Doug Burgum, he always looks really strange. He always looks really weird. Like I said, he looks like an evil Gavin Newsom. I think he's got some sort of disorder. Like I do. I think there's something going on with, and he's not like the most energetic person I've ever seen. He's always got some sort of like, you heard him talk, it's all funky and weird, but you know where this is going, John. I think Doug Burgum is going to die like a dog. That's what I think about Doug Burgum here. I just don't think he has what it takes. Like you said, like his juice is just not there. He doesn't have it in him. So I don't know if he's going to make it all 4 years. So, all right, let's go to our next. John, you can't make me laugh here. I'm trying to do the show. Okay. All right. Kristi Noem. What do you think of Kristi Noem? I guess I'm going first here. Now, listen, of course, with Kristi Noem, my immediate guess would be die like a dog because that's what she deserves, right? I mean, that's obviously where I would go with this, but it's not my turn. I did this on purpose. So, like, Kristi Noem is not who I'm going to sentence here. So, die like a dog would be too easy. Only a fucking hack would do something like that. So I'm going to say that I think Kristi Noem is fired and has a hilarious disgrace because do you remember when Kristi Noem like let it slip in her book that she went to North Korea when she like didn't have the clearance to do it or something? I can see her doing something like that, fucking it up. She's too busy putting on the Barbie costumes and like the cowboy hats and everything. I see her fucking up somewhere and being fired sometime soon. Maybe she got a job, by the way. Why do you feel the loyalty to Kristi Noem? I don't understand that. What do you think, John?
Well, okay, so to answer that question realistically,
oh sure,
she kept going on that fucking tour.
She did, man. She did.
Wow. And Donald Trump was like, pretty girl, willing to eat shit.
Yeah.
My type of fucking cabinet member.
Yeah.
As much as I say that is my actual serious assessment. It sounds like a joke, but that is my actual serious assessment of what went through Donald Trump's mind. But I will say, TJ, as much as you're like, I don't know, it would be a hack thing. She's got to die like a dog. Of everyone on this list who deserves to die like a dog, I want her child, who she told she murdered their dog. I want them to be the one. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. I want a dog to shoot her. That is
that's great.
The karmatic justice.
Oh, that's great.
She dies in a dog attack.
That's great. I love that. Yeah, some revenge right there. I can't remember the dog's name, but getting revenge for the grave. I'd love that. All right, so Marco Rubio is up next.
Really funny, DJ, if these people do end up dying.
We-
By the end of the next 4 years, these people are dead.
We have nothing to do with it. We did not buy Doug
That's so
Burgum,
many cops on time.
Doug Burgum voodoo dolls or something. Trust me, we didn't do anything like that. But all right, so next up we have Marco Rubio, who is somehow the Secretary of State. I don't know, like a lot of Trump's picks surprised me. Marco Rubio's blew me away. I mean, I didn't even know he liked Marco Rubio. I just like, of all the people he could have picked, and what I don't know, and Secretary of State, this is a big important fucking job. I don't know. I was kind of surprised to see that. But as far as what I think is going to happen, Marco Rubio knows what he's doing. He is one of the smarter Republicans, which I know isn't saying a lot, but I don't see incompetent idiots. People give him a lot of shit because he fumbled drinking that glass of water and fucked up his speech for the, what was it? The answer, the response to this.
It was the rebuttal. The
rebuttal.
Yeah, that was so funny.
People always get shit about that, but no one has ever done a good one, right? Like it seems like a death sentence. I can't remember anyone's like, wow, they crushed that State of the Union rebuttal. So if you're in politics and you get picked for that, say, no, I'm sick that day. Sorry, I can't do it. But my guess for Rubio seems to be a guy in it for the long haul. Like I think he would want to stick around for it, but Trump is going to do something to piss him off, or he'll piss Trump off. I see him solidly in the John Kelly territory of working for a few years, either quitting or getting fired and talking shit later, because that he did try that move back in 2015 or whatever, like talking shit against Trump and everything. So I know he has it in him. That's my guess. What do you think, John?
I think I agree with that, because Marco Rubio, of all of the cabinet picks, while you said it's surprising because it's the most normal. Like
it is. It's very normal.
You would have told me any Republican picked Marco Rubio to be their Secretary of State, I'd be like, yeah, checks out. He's a fairly normal Secretary of State pick for a Republican president. Secretaries of State also, is it just me or do they typically not last? Like there's usually, like if I were to bet on the average Secretaries of State per 4-year term, I would say 1.8. Like they don't typically last the whole way through. That might just be weirdly, like in my lifetime, there's been a lot of change ups in the position. Like Hillary entered as secretaries. Like Obama had multiple Secretaries of State. Did Biden have multiple Secretaries of State? I don't think he did.
I don't know. Yeah, I should check that out.
I think Marco Rubio, I think you're right. Like he will diligently do his dick sucking of Donald Trump until it is no longer politically convenient for him to do so, and then he'll talk shit. That does seem to be a pretty good spot to put him in.
All right, so I did check on this, and it looks like Blinken was Biden's Secretary of State the entire way through.
Okay, yeah.
Pompeo was Secretary of State for 3 years. Rex Tillerson was Secretary of State for 1 year under Trump. John Kerry for 4 years. All right, so it's decent enough. It's a 3 or 4 years.
I think 1.8 was a pretty good average there.
Yeah, Tillerson was an anomaly. Tillerson was Secretary of State for 1 year. Rex Tillerson was a weird one too, because Rex Tillerson, he wasn't a politician at all. Rex Tillerson was like the CEO of Exxon or something, and Trump made him Secretary of State. That was kind of an odd one, but. All right, so we're in agreement there. That's good. All right, John, so you're first up the bat on our most fun one. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I can't tell you how sad it was when I was searching for these images that I typed in RFK without putting the junior, like just RFK. And I wondered what it would give me. Of course, it gave me the living one, but like, man, it's kind of sad you put in RFK, that you get RFK Jr. and not RFK Senior. That's kind of indicative of what our nation's become. And I also wondered, what about the QAnon folks? You remember the QAnon folks kept saying that Trump was going to run with JFK Jr.? He was going to come back from the dead. You remember they kept, I wonder what they're thinking these days. It's like, oh, the Kennedys would have worked, but JFK Jr., maybe he's actually dead. I'm curious to look into that. But anyway, what do you think? What tier do you put old Bobby in?
So now I'm starting to think that you're just giving me the people that are going to die like a dog, so that I put them in the die in the dog category, because he's got a fucking worm in his brain, TJ. like of all, like he is old, and it's shocking that he's still alive. Like I look at this man, I go, I can't believe you're still alive. He's clearly on some something to be as cut as he is at his age. I don't think he makes it through the next 4 years. I don't know if he dies like a dog, but of all the people who I think have the highest death probability on this list, it's RFK.
RFK. All right. So, yeah, RFK is an interesting.
He dies of some very random fucking like. He might get hit by an asteroid. TJ, that sounds like an RFK fate to me.
It's RFK is an interesting guy. Like the food he's eaten, like that he's eaten like bear meat and dog meat, and he strapped like a dead whale on top of his van because he thought that I don't remember what he said, but like he said, yeah, we're gonna take the There's a really weird story where he admitted, well, I accidentally hit a bear cub with my car, as one does. We've all done it, right? Whomst among us hasn't done this? And he said, so I thought it'd be really funny to take the bear's corpse and put it on a bike trail and like leave an old bike next to it or something to make it look like a biker had hit the bear and killed it. And it was like you can find the news clips of the next day where the people was like, something happened to this bear. And it was like 20 years ago. And he admitted it last year, said, what? This is just, I guess someone found out about it. He was trying to, announce it before they blew the cover on it. But weird fucking dude, right?
Yeah, it's weird, but I gotta respect the commitment to the bit there. That is to hold it for 20 years. That's pretty funny. It's pretty funny.
And RFK is just a dog shit person. I mean, even for Kennedy, he's just a real scumbag. You guys check out the story about his ex-wife. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s ex-wife found a journal he was keeping and found out that he was cheating on her with like 38 different women. And
impressive, honestly. Like I can't imagine the logistics,
the time, right?
Like the time. Like I barely have enough time to hang out with my own fiance. You're telling me that you can like have successful relationships with 38 other women and keep it a secret from your wife for that long? That's insane. I don't know how you actually have a real job if you're doing that.
Yeah, these folks don't have real jobs. That's true that they don't. Yeah. And he had like a rating system next to them, like through 1 to 10 and everything like that. And she saw this journal and she hung herself. So yeah, and he moved on with his life, what are you going to do? So I don't know. And of course he has the weird, hole in his head and everything like that. And he's a fucking Kennedy. So yeah, of course, dies like a dog. I mean, what else can you do? Where else could he possibly go right here? But
there's really no other option here.
There really isn't. Like I wanted to get cute and like switch it up on, but honestly, I got nothing. Like I got nothing on this one. Like he has to go in that tier. Okay. Next, we have supervillain Tulsi Gabbard, who's our new director of intelligence or whatever. Where I would put Tulsi Gabbard, she's an interesting one to me because Tulsi Gabbard, we mentioned how smart she is and how like shrewd. And I mean shrewd, I don't know. Like we all saw her right-wing turn years ago before she ever announced it. It was really funny when she announced
she's done it more successfully than anyone else.
Yeah,
she's literally like you cannot disrespect the outcomes of the decision.
But I mean, the outcome is that Republicans love you and Democrats hate you. I mean, she was more, artful about it, I guess, but it's not like she has like a lot of support from the left anymore. And I don't know. I just feel she could have done it quicker and ripped the Band-Aid off because it's not fooling anyone, right? Republicans like, oh, look at that. She saw like, no, come on. And she's got this weird like cult she follows or whatever. I would say that if I had to pick one for Gabbard, I think Gabbard is going to stay loyal. Like she's in this for the long haul. I don't see any reason. She's not going to be fired. She's too competent for that. She knows what she's doing. She's a minority. She's a woman. She'd be great to have on the crew. Why would she be forced out? She and Trump seem to agree on the stuff that matters, like loving Russian propaganda and everything. I can't see Trump getting mad enough to want to get her axed. So I would go with eternal loyalist for Gabbard.
So this is tough because I don't feel like she fits a category because I also don't think she'll simp. Like she hasn't simped that much. Like she to the level of a Ben Carson.
She's not Ben Carson. That's true.
Not Ben Carson. Like she has more respect. I don't know. I think it's either eternal. I could also see her getting forced out and talking shit because that's kind of her thing. Like she got forced out of the Democratic Party, started talking shit. So I see no reason why she wouldn't do the same here.
All right, so we're putting her in the John Kelly tier then.
I think that's again. I don't know if she'll be forced. I think she'll go out mostly on her own terms, but she will talk shit. That if there's one thing about Tulsi Gabbard, I know for sure is that she'll talk shit.
All right, I love it. All right, last but not least, we have Russell Vought, who is the new director of the Office of Management and Budget. For those of you who don't know, Russell Vought is the author of Project 2025 that Trump has definitely never heard of. He had no idea what was in it. John, John, you're up. What do you think is going to happen with Russell Vought?
So I really want him to die like a dog. That would be something I want. Unfortunately, I feel like he's one of the smarter people in this in these categories. He's loyal to the very end because he knows where his bread is buttered. Like he'll do whatever the fuck he wants. He's got to be a Ben Carson loyalist, but he has more power than Ben Carson ever will in his entire life. But yeah, he's loyal to the very. I can't believe no one's in the Scaramucci tier. This is the thing. It's like when you're like, oh, how will these draft picks pan out? For whatever reason, I seem to think way more of them are going to pan out well than I know is statistically possible. So many of these people won't be here in 6 months, TJ. It's like, this is the thing we have to, although the other thing is he is hiring a lot of loyalists. Like that's the other thing. It's like,
it's different than last
many
time.
of them. It's in the first administration. It's like, oh, they're being loyal to the country to some extent, or, some other interest. He's just picking people who are loyal to him. So, yeah, I don't know. I would put him in the Ben Carson tier, but I think he stays around mostly. That's why I'm putting him there.
All right, John. So I hope you're sitting down for this.
Oh,
I'm putting him in the first tier. Fired,
really?
Hilarious, failure, a disgrace. Yes, I am, because this is why. That but with our first guy, with Elon Musk and everything, a lot of the stuff like the executive unit, the executive theory of power and everything, and slashing on the budgets, Trump's going to get carried away. He's going to get too carried away with actual Project 2025 shit. The stuff like the budget, the stuff that he's in charge of.
You need a head to roll.
Yes, I think he will need a head to roll. And who gives a flying fuck about Russell Vought? No one knew his name until October of last year. So if there's one guy I think who has a chance to be axed like by the end of the year, Vought more than anybody else. I'm sure there's other people I have never heard of, whatever. But of this list, I am comfortably throwing this fastball here or curveball here and putting Russell Vought in the Scaramucci tier. Obviously not gone after 9 days, but gone in 9-10 months. That's my prediction.
You have made an excellent TJ. You've sold me over to your position here.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, so it's just for funsies, anyways, folks. It's pretty good. So yeah. Oh, look at that! Just on time. We landed the plane. All right, so
I can't believe we landed this one, DJ.
That
this
was
has been such a
so
grab
fun.
bag of an episode.
Yes,
I really hope people enjoyed it. I
you
don't know how I'm gonna feel when I watch these clips, but a lot of times when I go into it feeling like dog shit, tends to be a pretty good episode.
You're right. It happens
Who knows,
sometimes.
TJ?
So good stuff, folks. We hope you enjoyed it. This is weird now. We can't end it the normal way because we can't do the toss back and forth and everything. We have to end it like a Tuesday show. Oh, actually. Tuesday I won't be able to record. That's after the show shit, I guess.
Yes,
I'll be out of town Tuesday.
So thank you everyone for watching this video. It's only me and TJ here today. There's no guest for you to go find, so you might as well fucking like this goddamn video and subscribe to us. TJ, what do you think that this person should do who's watching right now?
I think this person should watch the video lest they die. Like a dog. All right. We'll get you guys later.
Bye.